We want to go now to Union County, where we are hearing from deputies after an arrest was made in a deadly shooting at a Taco Bell in Indian Trail. Let's take a listen in.
Thoughts and prayers are with the family of the deceased in this case. This young man's life was taken way too soon. Life was cut short. It's tragic loss of life. And we're thankful that they've placed their trust in us to conduct this investigation. And, like I said, our thoughts and prayers continue to be with them. This investigation will be ongoing for some time. We're continuing to ask the community if they have any resources, any information, to please contact us immediately.
Just so I know you mentioned before, but so we can have it on record, any update you can give on the motive?
Yeah, so at this point in time, we're still trying to determine the motive. We do know that the victim and the suspect did know each other. As far as the level of that interaction they had in the past, we're still trying to determine that level, but this was not just a random attack. The suspect involved, Mr. Ritchie, he entered the Taco Bell that night. He passed by several other people and specifically sought out and shot and killed Mr. Hobbs. So there's no question that this was a targeted assault, targeted attack on Mr. Hobbs. As soon as he fired the shots killing Mr. Hobbs, he left the restaurant, didn't harm anybody else. He fled in a vehicle. And I also think it's important to note that our investigators didn't get any tips in this case. No one from the community called and told them a name. It took a lot of hard work, took a lot of effort, took a lot of research, and every one of them used their training and their skills and the programs that we have at our disposal to quickly identify a very dangerous suspect, because this person entered this restaurant full of people and committed this very violent act. So we're glad he's in custody tonight, and we're thankful for our hardworking people.
Is there any details you can give on the investigation? Obviously, like you mentioned, a lot of hard work, a lot of tactics. Anything you can tell us about going from having someone walk in, and I'm sure not many details, to making an arrest less than 22 hours later?
Yeah, so I think one of the things, that's a great question. I think one of the things that we would like to say thanks and to really highlight is we had some great witnesses on scene. There were some witnesses on the scene that were able to give us a car description and some other things that helped us try to follow up on some leads that we had. Ultimately, our detectives were able to track down the suspect through various leads, such as a vehicle description. They used our informational databases here in the sheriff's office, our license plate readers. There's several methods of technology which we've highlighted in the past, our use of these things, and it once again just shows that when we have the community support, we have the financial support of our local leaders, that these kind of successful investigations can happen. This is only the second homicide in the Union County Sheriff's Office's primary response jurisdiction in 2025, which is extremely low. And both of these cases were solved in less than 24 hours. And I know, like I mentioned earlier, the Sheriff Eddie Cathy is here with me, and you'll hear from him in a moment. I'd also like to thank our elected district attorney, Trey Robinson, behind you. He's also here, and the partnership with the district attorney's office is another thing that helps us stay extremely successful in our investigations, apprehension, and accountability of offenders.
You mentioned it's an ongoing investigation. Mm-hmm. What other feedback or do you need from the community? I know you said you're still looking for community to reach out to you all if they have information.
Sure. So I think the question that everybody wants to know now is why. You know, why did this another young man, a 22-year-old young man, come into a restaurant in the middle of the evening and shoot a 23-year-old young man for just seemingly unprovoked? I think the question is why. So that's what we're going to dig into now, is to see what would make him make this decision. Why would he tragically take the life of another human being in such a brazen act of violence? I think that's the question we have to answer now. We want to shore up the current leads that we have, and because ultimately the arrest has been made, but the offender has not been convicted in court. So we have to take this to court. We have to make sure that he's held accountable there, and that's once again through our partnership with the DA's office and through an additional extensive amount of investigative work.
Is there any criminal history with the suspect or the victim that you can tell us about, or anything that would lead back to any sort of past?
So I actually haven't looked at the suspect's criminal history, so I'm not sure if he's been involved or not. That's something that I can look into and try to get back with you.
When the suspect was arrested, were you able to locate the murder weapon, or is that something you guys are still looking for and need help?
Yeah, so at this point in time, we do believe that we have collected a murder weapon as evidence in this case. That was part of the work that they did yesterday. And at this point in time, there is no indication that the suspect committed any other acts of violence other than the one within the Taco Bell restaurant, Indian Trail.
Do you know how many people were inside the restaurant and how many shots were fired?
As far as shots, we're still waiting on the autopsy results to determine exactly how many shots struck the victim. So I don't really want to put out a specific number of shots, but we do know there were numerous shots fired. And then inside the restaurant, between staff and witnesses, I believe there was between 4 to 6 people inside the restaurant. They were just there either working or trying to get a meal. So as you can imagine, this has had a big impact on our community. It's made a lot of people very concerned that live in that area. But I think if anything, the takeaway from this is that you can have faith in your local law enforcement here in Union County, that we're not going to be that safe haven for violent crimes. We're not going to be lenient against this type of offense. If you come to Union County and you seek to harm others, we're going to catch you. We're going to apprehend you, and we're going to hold you accountable for that. So that's the message we really want to send out to the public tonight is that law enforcement here is going to do our job. We're going to be there for you. We're going to be proactive. And the message we want to send to any potential criminals is this is just not the place for you to try to see if you can get away with something. So, but what I'd like to do is turn it over to Sheriff Eddie Cathy to kind of talk about the community impact, and then I'll come back for any other questions you may have. So, Sheriff?
I really don't have much that James didn't cover. I can't tell you how proud I am of these detectives that worked tirelessly, never went home, determined to solve this crime, together with all the tools that were available to them, and we have a lot of that. Our county has supplied us with the tools that we feel are necessary to solve crimes. I find it amazing. You walk into a Taco Bell and you start with a dead body on the floor and you have nowhere to go. So you start gathering evidence, start gathering witness statements. It's pretty shocking because when I was talking with them, it was, we don't have anything. We don't have anything. Nobody knows. And then it just goes and goes and goes, and then it goes to an arrest. Involved a lot of people, the SBI, the district attorney's office. It's a team effort. This is Union County. We believe that we need to enforce the laws, we need to arrest them, we need to solve the crimes. These officers that are working and the teamwork, the SBI, they're committed to solving things, to working for the citizens of this county. And the end result is we have no murders since I've been the sheriff of this county unsolved. It's pretty impressive to me. It may not be to you, but it is to me. And that's a lot to say for the citizens of this county that have stepped up and supported us, that have done the things that we feel are necessary and they feel are necessary. But have you got any questions for me?
Is it common for your team here to work overnight, probably 24-hour shift at the very least to solve something like this?
I think it is pretty common. It's more common than not. This is important to them. It's important for their careers. It's important to their personal safety to be on the ground. And they want to be there when it happens, and they know it's going to happen. So it's important.
Sheriff, when a murder like this happens in such a public place, at a fast food restaurant, how does that affect the people who live here, you think? And what would you want to say?
Well, I think it's a shock to the community. It's a shock to certainly the business, but it concerns the people that live here because they frequent that establishment all the time. And I think it scares people to say, You know, I was just in that Taco Bell yesterday. I could have been there tonight. And it's a shock to the community. But I think that this will end that shock. This arrest will stop that shock. And that we'll go back to being Union County. James, you're on.
Thanks, Sheriff. And just to follow up on that question that Hannah had about how frequent our detectives, our deputies, our crime scene investigators are out. As the sheriff said, we take this very personally. We live here. We raise families here, the people that work for this office. And so when someone comes in and they commit a violent crime, it's personal for us, and the fact that every time we make our community safer, it makes our families safer. It makes our residents' families safer. Union County is a fast-growing county, and we like to attribute that around here to the public safety rate, or the crime rate being so low. It's not like that everywhere else. And I tell people all the time that Union County is not the safe county to live in that it is by accident. It doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of work from our deputies on patrol, to our jailers down in our detention center, to our detectives and our deputies that are processing these charges, making these arrests, all the way up to our district attorney's office, who, you know, they're kind of the unsung heroes of this group, because we get to do all the fun stuff. We get to go out and investigate the cases and make the arrest, but then when it comes time to turn over the paperwork for prosecution, they've got a really tough job. So it takes a full system working together to create such a safe community. And as the sheriff said, and we saw from our Facebook comments, things like that, people were genuinely scared when they heard something like this so close to home, because it is very uncommon. But ultimately, this should send a message to the community that the sheriff's office is committed to keeping our community safe, and sending that message to criminals once again that this is not the place to try it and think you're going to get away with it. It's, you know, you're just going to need to go somewhere else, or maybe just don't commit those crimes. That would be the better option.